You know, some stories don't just scare you. They kind of crawl under your skin and just stay there. Well, today we're going to break down one of those stories, a modern horror tale called Shadows Among Us. We're going to see exactly how it builds that chilling sense of dread piece by piece. Okay, let's get into it. It all kicks off with a pretty simple idea, right? A trip into the unknown. But that question hanging in the air, that's a heavy one. Are these guys just chasing a legend, or is the legend actually chasing them? This image just perfectly sets that isolated, spooky vibe right from the start. So, our story breakdown starts here. Section 1, A Curious Quest. This is the setup, and this is where all the best horror stories begin, isn't it? You've got a group of friends, a really tempting goal, and, well, a very, very bad idea. This is the part where the trap is set and they don't even know it. Okay, so let's meet our crew. First up, you've got Duke. He's the curious one, the planner. This whole trip is his brainchild. Then there's Paris, the cautious friend, the voice of reason that probably should have been listened to. You have Tank, he's the fun, mischievous one. And finally, Abi, the logic chaser, trying to make sense of everything. It's a classic setup, and Duke's curiosity, that's the engine driving this whole thing straight off a cliff. And what's their big goal? They're headed into the deep jungles of Uttarakhand to find proof of magical creatures. And why? All because of something Duke saw on social media. I mean, talk about a modern quest for ancient myths. This is the decision that sets them on a path with no turning back. And right here, we get our first massive red flag. The locals, the people who actually know this place, give them a very clear warning. But, as the story puts it, young blood never listens. And that's not just a throwaway line. That's the story telling us straight up that what's about to happen is a direct result of their own choices. Okay, so that's the setup. Now we move into section 2, a fateful encounter. The story calls this the twist, and this is where things start to go horribly wrong, or maybe a little too right. This is that moment when the perfect adventure starts to feel off. So get this. They're out in the woods, and Tank, our mischievous one, literally wishes out loud for some female company to liven things up. And what happens? A car breaks down nearby, and out pop 4 girls who need help. I mean, what are the odds? It's almost magical, isn't it? For the guys, this is an absolute dream come true. Their camping trip just got a major upgrade. They are completely over the moon, thinking that fate just handed them a gift. They feel like the luckiest people on the planet. But is it destiny, or is it something else? This one simple question just completely shatters that happy vibe and injects a cold shot of dread right into the story. And boom, just like that, the party's over. Out of absolutely nowhere, Tank isn't Tank anymore. He seems to be possessed, grabs a burning log from the fire, and just lunges at Duke. The fun bonfire scene has just turned into absolute terror. Now, this is so important. In the middle of all this chaos, Urvashi, one of the girls, says this to Duke. It's this incredibly chilling, poetic warning. And let me tell you, that's not just some cool-sounding line. That is the entire theme of the story, gift-wrapped and handed directly to our main character. So everyone's terrified, they're disoriented, and that leads us right into Section 3, the Cottage of Lies. This is the next phase of the horror, the trap. They're lured away from the open woods into a place that seems safe, but believe me, it is anything but. The trap is about to spring shut. After that awful night, the girls offer them a place to crash at their cottage nearby. Now, for these guys, who are exhausted and completely shaken, this feels like a total blessing, a safe harbor in the storm. But I mean, just look at that image. Does that look like a safe harbor to you? So let's walk through how the tension just skyrockets here. Duke wakes up, but he's alone. Well, alone with Urvashi. His friends are just gone. The hours start to tick by, and he's getting more and more worried. But when he asks Urvashi for help, she's bizarrely calm, almost refusing to help. You can feel him getting more and more isolated. The walls are closing in. And this is where things get really, really weird. That psychological horror kicks in. Urvashi's behavior flips. She starts acting like they're married, talking to him with this creepy, possessive devotion. It's not just strange. It's a huge sign that he's been chosen for something, and it is definitely not good. Duke knows deep down that something is terribly wrong, which brings us to Section 4, a horrifying revelation. He makes a run for it, desperate to find his friends and just get out of this nightmare.
And this, right here, is where the story hits its brutal, shocking climax. So he escapes the cottage, he's running through the woods, and then he sees it. A bonfire in the distance. He thinks, yes, I've found them, I'm safe. But the question is, what does he actually see when he gets closer?
He sees something impossible. It's the scene from before. His friends, Paris, Tank, Abi, they're all there, laughing, having a great time with the girls around the campfire. It makes no sense. It's this moment of pure confusion and, for a second, maybe relief. It looks like everything's fine. And then, the gut punch. While Duke is just frozen, trying to process what he's seeing, Urvashi comes up behind him and stabs him. And as she does, she whispers this absolutely terrifying promise. This isn't just about killing him, it's about owning him forever. So what just happened? What was real? Well, that brings us to our final section, Trapped for Eternity. This is where we learn about the curse. Let's finally put all these horrifying pieces together. Okay, so here's the big reveal, the secret rule of this world. The girls aren't really girls. They're ancient fairies, and they don't just find partners, they choose mortals to trap with them in a repeating time loop forever. This was never a random encounter, it was a hunt. And this is how it all connects. The strange tantrics who showed up earlier, summoned by Urvashi. Tank's violent possession, it was all an act, a performance designed to split Duke off from the group. The whole thing was a perfectly planned trap, and the boys' fate was sealed the second they stepped into that forest. And so the story closes with this awful, chilling finality. Their souls are now bound to these creatures, and they're doomed to relive this one night, over and over and over again, for eternity. The forest they came to explore has become their forever prison. And that leaves us with one last, haunting question to chew on. The story tells us that curiosity is a blade, but it also shows us something even more frightening. It makes you ask yourself, at what point does our own desire to know, to see what's hidden in the shadows, at what point does that become the very thing that traps us there?